Good morning, everyone. This is the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee of Tompkins County for December 11th, 2025, the last meeting of this committee for 2025. Who all's here? We've got Lee Shurtleff, one of our legislators, and Randy Brown, and Shauna Black, and Deborah Dawson, our vice chair. And I think that's all we have.
We got quorum.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of us, aren't there?
Yeah, the late Dr. Pillar. She'll be here.
All right.
And
You're exactly
here
right.
she is.
Now we're being joined by legislator Veronica Pillar. And remember, this is the Prestige Committee of Tompkins County. Changes to the agenda. We have to add a resolution at the request of County Administration for a contingent fund appropriation for the community shelter capital project. And let's just put that down at, I don't know, let's do it under County Administrator's report. Other changes to the agenda. Do we have any public comment this morning? Apparently not. Can we take the minutes of November 13? Deborah moves them, seconded by Veronica. Just changes, corrections, etc. Ready to vote? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have a couple of reappointments to the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. We have Samantha Almendinger and Nicholas Bennett. Does anyone need an executive session to discuss either or both of these? Okay, does anybody want to move them? Veronica moves them, seconded by Deborah. Any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Moving right along here this morning. Chair's report. I would just simply say thank you to this committee. It's been a great committee all year. We've taken up a number of things. We can be particularly proud of the job we did as an expanded budget committee with the whole legislature and getting through a budget with a unanimous vote. And that doesn't happen very often. I told people that was my 40th municipal budget that I've worked on over the years, and that was as hard as any of them, but as satisfying as any of them when we ended up with it. And I think we did a good job for the people of our county.
Mike?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we want to all thank you for your leadership, not just this year on BCP, but over the years and your long, long years of public service and your historical perspective, which we will miss.
Well, thank you for saying that. It's just part of the job, and I do plan to stay on the Historical Commission for a little while anyway.
Good, we won't lose your perspective.
If you folks want me to. Everybody but me is going to be continuing next year, aren't they? That's interesting.
Yeah, we could meet in January. We could have more.
We have to. We have to spend more money here. Veronica, you want to talk to us about Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee?
Sure. Thanks for adding that last word, or we could be here all day. Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee is next meeting a week from today. Another change from our regular schedule due to the holidays. That'll be, of course, our last meeting in 2025. And we are going to be hearing updates on the equity indicators from county administration and from human resources. So it should be great. And a little review of end of year, what were the goals, what could they be going into next year? Though most of our advisory committee membership is not changing, since most of it is not legislators. And we just approved 2 new reappointments of people. And unusually, we have brought a resolution to this committee, but that is later under the resolutions.
Veronica, why don't we drop down to Resolution A, which is the 2025 Leslie McBean Clare Board Strength and Diversity Award, and I know you've been shepherding that. Why don't we get that on the table and you can talk to us about it?
Sure.
You want to move it?
I'll move it, I guess. I'll move.
Seconded by Shauna.
Okay, so this, and sorry, I'm slow to have it in front of me, but the Leslyn McBean Claiborne Strength and Diversity Award, it was created in 2021 to honor Leslyn McBean Claiborne, at the time the outgoing chair of this legislature, who served on the legislature for 20 years, who founded the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee and has done numerous other things to advance diversity and inclusion within Tompkins County. And so the award was made to honor others who have made similar significant contributions to making Tompkins County a more diverse and equitable, thriving place. And the intention of the award is to honor that kind of work, to support it and uplift it, and also to support the recipients in kind of continuing doing what you're doing and enhancing the overall DEI work in the county. The 2025, this is the first year we've gotten it together to award to other people or entities. Individuals or organizations can receive it, and we are awarding 2 this year, and sorry, I still don't have this up. Are there names in the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah, they are in the
South
second
Hill
line of the
Cider
resolve.
and Hashonda.
Yeah, South Hill Cider and Hashonda Johnson. So there was a bunch of folks nominated. We chose these 2, there was a small nomination selection committee, then it went to the full WDIC. South Hill Cider was nominated for their work, not for their great cider, but for their work over years in internally on their own business practices and hiring practices, and also their work closely with the Diversity Consortium of Tompkins County. They've been hosting the series of What's Next events, roundtable discussions, and just at this point, long history of doing the work to interrogate their practices, their community involvement, with good results. Yeah. And then Hashonda Johnson is I don't know her title, but she's a caseworker at Reach Medical, and she was nominated by someone, not a client or a Reach employee, but someone, a third party, who's just seen the work that she does advocating for her clients and going above and beyond. And for the most part, the folks she's advocating for are all marginalized in some way, and she's really been a strong supportive force for her clients in the courtrooms and other places to fight for fair treatment for them, and that was recognized widely. I had not met her before, but we're very happy to, after learning of the work she's been doing and the impact it's had, very happy to honor her and support her in continuing that.
Great.
Thank you for that introduction. Shauna.
Yeah, I actually know Hashonda, and she worked at my children's pediatrician office for many years, and she is an absolutely wonderful and caring person. But the great part is that it's her birthday today. So this is very fitting that we would celebrate her in the legislative chambers, but I hope she's celebrating at home too with her family.
Anyone else? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Can I make one more comment?
You sure can.
Thanks. Now, this resolution is going to go to the full legislature this coming Tuesday, and we're also going to have a small award to present to both recipients who will be here in chambers right at the beginning of the meeting with folks' consent. So please come and see. Most of you have to come who are listening to this.
Right.
But
I put on the, thank you, Veronica, but I put on the agenda our committee goals, thanks to Taylor for adding them for us. And I just thought we'd kind of just review them and see whether we get a pass, fail, or incomplete on them. They're at page 30 on the agenda. We said we were going to monitor as closely as possible federal funding and potential implications to state and county funding. I think we've done what we could there. I know our representatives at NISAC have reported back what they've been able to hear on a regular basis, and we've heard from administration and finance, certainly, and others about this. So I think that we certainly can say that we have, that's one you might want to carry over next year, but that's something we've worked on. We had reevaluation of the budget process, potential for zero-based budgeting or target-based budgeting. And I think we went forward with that. Corsa arranged a presentation for us from the folks from NISAC. No, I'm from the Comptroller's office, excuse me, I said that wrong. And we talked about zero-based budgeting, whether we would do that or not, or whether we would start somewhere higher. I think that was the way we were doing that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Deb.
I'd give us an incomplete on this one, only because I
Okay.
think it's an ongoing process. I don't think we've arrived at where we're going to finally end up, and I hope that the committee will continue to work on that in 2026. And I don't mean that in any way to be critical of what we've done. It's just a long process.
Shawna?
Yes, I actually feel like many of these are to be continued. And I feel like what I'd like to say as far as this is that I would really like a further evaluation into our procurement practices, because I think that's where things are a little slippery. And if we could get a grasp on the money that's going out the door, it might help us with our projections of fund balance and everything else.
Lee?
I think the dire predictions we had when we had the budget retreat in May or June,
Scared us straight.
well, they did. And they, caused us to move forward in a different manner than we have in recent years. And I think the end product was a good, solid product. But, we had a lot of changes in terminology, and we didn't adhere to the fiscal policy as we have in previous years. We've kind of stepped away from the fund balance goals and numerous other things. And none of this is bad, but it may, to the incomplete assertion, we may want to go back to looking at that fiscal policy and revising it to reflect a new approach or a different approach than we've done in previous years. And as I said, I think the end product was good, but we certainly were doing things differently, over targets and what have you, than we've done in the past. So, but I think circumstances
confusing.
caused us to do that.
Yeah.
Randy?
Yeah, Mike, thank you for leading the committee, and I learned a lot over the last 4 years, and there's a lot to learn, and so I know the new legislators have a big curve ahead of them. One thing I think that would be helpful, and I know we had our budget retreat, was it April or May? The first one, I can't remember when it was. I think it'd be a good idea to get a sense from all legislators earlier in the process as to what type of levy increase they think is palatable before we even get the process started. That, I think, would be an interesting discussion. I think it should be in open session as well early in the process. The one thing that, and I can't remember if this is on the goals or not, but we've talked about this, or at least I have, is the actual budgets of every department. And I've gone through every department last night to see what their expenses are and what their revenues are. And some are great and some are not great. And I don't want to be in the situation next year where we're finding out, oh God, we spent $5 million more than we brought in. I think that every department by the 15th of January should give us a written report on their budgets saying specifically that, hey, this is what happened. Because, I mean, these people know, they're good managers, they know the business, so that we're prepared to know that, all right, well, this particular department's revenues were $8 million under plan, or $3 million over, or premium pay is, in some cases, premium pay is huge. And I saw your email. So so I just think that we need to look at this a little differently and to manage our cost. So thanks.
Veronica.
I have something, but I see Norma's hand was up first.
I didn't see Norma's hand.
It's on Zoom.
There's Norma's hand on the screen. There's Norma. Go ahead, Norma.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to Randy's point and to the rest of the conversation, we have a fiscal policy that actually states that if there is a deficit, the department is supposed to come in to the county administrator with a written report on how those funds would be made up and what happened. So it isn't outside of our policy. It's not necessarily always the steps that are taken, but that is in our fiscal policy presently. So I just wanted you to be aware that if you look at the fiscal policy, it says, okay, if there's a deficit, you have to come in with a plan on how that's going to be managed for the upcoming year.
Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Veronica?
Yeah, I also think that this goal, I guess I agreed with what Deborah said earlier, this is like incomplete and it's not in a critical way. But something I'm hoping for next year is that we can, I guess similar to what others have said, that we can like discuss the budget process earlier in the year, some things about it. But I feel like I'm going in a different direction, and I have notes about this not in front of me somewhere, but I think that we get, like this year and most years that I've been here, we get into discussions about, in the fall about specific funding requests, especially the like enhancements and requests to outside agencies and whether this is worth the money or not, or we can afford it or not. And we're supposed to be being guided in this whole thing by our strategic operations plan. And I don't think we look at that much. And I also, in the weeds of the budget process, and I would love to bring that in earlier, like before there's the specific dollar requests, but see if the legislature can come to some agreement on like what are our priorities and principles. I don't know, something other than just a number of tax levy increase that can guide our decision-making when we get into the weeds. But I think that has to come way earlier in the year.
Good. Deborah?
Yeah, I think the point that you're raising is a good one, because when I worked for the RTC many years ago, we had a little plaque in our office that said, when you're up to your ass in alligators, it's hard to remember you're there to drain the swamp. So the strategic operations plans and those larger goals, that's the draining the swamp piece. But when we get right down to the dollars and cents and what we can afford, those are the alligators. So I hear what you're saying, but remember, it's just reality. When you get down to the dollars and cents, you have to make tough choices. You know, we said this repeatedly in this latest budget process. Every Human Services Coalition agency that came to us, I mean, their work is noble. Their work is worthwhile. If we say no, it's not because we don't think their work is worthwhile. It just means we have to prioritize among a bunch of worthwhile things, and we don't have the money to pay for everything. But that said, I hear you. So it's just a question of whether we're draining swamps or fighting alligators.
Can't forget the environmental impact of draining the swamps now.
And then there's that.
Go
Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, let me ask a question. Do you think that we vest a lot of trust in the Human Services Coalition to vet significant parts of the budget, and every year it seems as though we go in and kind of second guess them or reprioritize things where they maybe didn't rank as well at their level? Is that something that we should be a little more strident on?
Well, if I may, my perception is that the Human Services Coalition's vetting has to do more with what they think is worthwhile without being constrained in any way by the resources that we have. And I think that's the disconnect. You know, if we had the resources, sure, we'd fund everything they recommend. But you'll notice the last few years, even though the county administrator has said, you know, this is going to be a tight year, we have to move into an austerity mode, the Human Services Coalition's recommendations don't take any of that into account. They just keep going up.
Shauna?
I think over the year post-COVID, we've seen the needs of our community go up. So I think that as the Human Services works with the community, they see nonprofits, both older nonprofits and newer nonprofits that are struggling, but they're also providing services that our constituents need. So it's kind of morphing into something a little bit bigger. I think the conversation that we've always had is that government can't provide everything to everyone. And so that's why we lean on Human Services to do that work and to do that vetting. As far as I'm concerned, Lee, with your question, I think it's important for us to realize that they're the first part of our vetting process. And I think they kind of weed out, they look at our strategic plan, they look at our mission and our goals, and they try and funnel the agencies that they think will make the most impact with the dollars that we give them. It's up to us at the end of the day, obviously, where we send those funds. And I feel like it's just part of our checks and balances on the budget. And so if we, you know, for some reason go out into the community and see, I don't know, maybe CARS is doing a great job and we want to give more money to CARS, that's absolutely our right as the legislature to do that. So I feel like the Human Services Coalition is a great tool. There's no way that our staff, there's no way that we individually could go out and talk to all the agencies, vet all of the applications. And Cindy and her staff are incredible about, if you ever have a question, feel free to give them a call because they can always justify, you know, what they were thinking when they make the recommendations.
Well, I get a little uncomfortable when we get to October and suddenly we're plugging things back in that our advisors had kind of said maybe weren't a priority. But I did appreciate the fact that 2 years ago when we began, when we had discussions at the expanded budget level about food pantries and issues with you know, the community not having good resources, it was suggested that that becomes something that the Human Services Coalition factor into their deliberations, and it did. It rolled into the process, but we gave them kind of early notice to prioritize those types of funds in future budgets, and they did. So I'm just wondering about the front end or the back end a little bit.
Okay, all good points, and, oh, I'm sorry, Veronica, I said you were next.
Yeah, could we maybe ask the Human Service, the folks at the Human Services Coalition who lead this vetting process to come in to this committee and talk about what the process is, like earlier in the year?
That might be a good idea.
Because I think we hear about it, but I don't know that we've discussed this directly, and especially without any specific organizations' requests yet on the table. And I wonder if that would make folks feel more comfortable with it, either just by understanding how it is or by like adjusting it as needed.
Good idea.
Okay. The next kind of two, or the next one and the first part of the one after that seem to kind of go together. Examine benefits offered to employees and focus on recruitment and retention of employees. And I think we've had excellent monthly reports out of our Human Resources Department, our commissioner, and Larry Workman. We've known every month where our employees stand, and I know they've been working very hard on improving benefits where they can be. I know they worked very hard on the health insurance benefits. So I think we've made progress there, but as I think you said, most of these are going to be incomplete because they're things that we just have to continue year after year. I got Lee, then Shauna, then Veronica.
Maybe somewhat related, we got to, over the last 2 years, I think we got to conclusions on all our contracts. And benefits are certainly a big part of that. So I think, it may be incomplete, but to some degree, we indoctrinated a lot of those benefit-related issues within there. The other thing is that you did come forward with optional health care plans. I think that was a success. I don't know how the enrollment is going in those, but maybe that's a later report. But, I'd put a big check mark on that, Mike.
Okay, then Shauna, then Veronica.
Thank you. I would really love to take a deeper dive and do better for our benefits. I think that many years ago, people worked really hard to try and to get into government work because the benefits were so great. The pensions were awesome. And I think now whenever people look at government work, the retirement is not great. Our health insurance is wonderful. But definitely our benefits are behind some of our competitors. And I think that, and whenever I say competitors, I just mean like the general workforce. Some of the things I would love for us to dig into a little bit. I know that in WDIC, we've been talking about paternity and maternity leave being paid for those. Childcare funding. Cornell has essentially stipends that they provide for their employees that help with the costs of childcare. Caregiver paid time off. And it doesn't matter if it's a child or maybe you're taking care of an older parent or a loved one. And then the other thing that I know we've talked about a little bit as far as being a living wage provider, there's the living wage dollar amount, but I'm wondering if we actually qualify that for that because we do have such great benefits. And I know that there's a calculation that's used on the actual salary itself, the dollar amount, but once you take off the benefit amount, my assumption is we might actually fall within that living wage amount. And I'd love for us to look into that and see if we still might be a certified living wage provider.
Are we trying to put a dollar figure on the value of the benefits?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get Corsa? He wants to respond. Corsa?
I think if we add that in, we'll be above it. Because I think on average, for health insurance especially, we pay about $20,000 per employee if you look at the total cost of the county.
Yeah.
So we'll be above.
I would love for us to look into that because I received a call a few weeks ago. I guess there was a ceremony to certify all of our employers, and the mayor from the city of Ithaca called and was like, hey, you guys aren't a living wage employer this year. And I was like, no, we didn't vote to increase, to that amount. But if we in fact qualify, it'd be great to just get the certification because we've been in that list of certified providers for a very long time. And if we're providing great benefits and decent salaries, we should get credited for it.
Veronica.
Agree with what Shauna said about the living wage certification. I think I was told Tompkins County was one of the first, if not the first, certified living wage employers. But I was going to say something else. Oh, yesterday or 2 days ago at the Public Safety Committee meeting, Rich asked everyone to come with their holiday wishes for public safety, and one thing that came up was a desire for a much better retirement system. And this is like at the state level, so what can we do? I don't know if anything, but that the tier 5 and 6 in the retirement system are not sufficient. And a couple, 2 of our department heads there noted that like they themselves were on tier 4 or something, and that was like actually really robust, but that newer employees were not staying in these jobs because they were going to have to work for like 40 years in a demanding field work and or emergency response type thing in order to earn a reasonable retirement. And so a lot of them were, not staying with government for that reason. And that's not boding well for the future. I don't know what we can do about that, but it is an issue affecting our recruitment and retention, so I hear.
Go ahead, Lee.
There's an irony, Shauna, to the county not being at the living wage certification, because I think we still have it in our policies that any of our contractors are to be living wage providers unless we give an exemption for the circumstances. We're a little, not true to what we're requiring some of our vendors to do.
That's right.
I would just comment on 2 things on the discussion right now is that it's only municipal employees that have traditional pensions. All the other businesses have gone to 401ks and self-directed or assisted-directed investments. So even if our pension system isn't the greatest in the world, at least it's pretty well financed compared to some states which have trouble. I'll get you, Deborah. And it's better. Municipal employees have that good option to be able to be in there. I realize that when the costs were going so high for localities a number of years ago, they did change to the additional tiers. They weren't quite so expensive, but at least they're still in a pension program at this point. So I want to say that. As far as living wage, I just want to say you just can't keep going higher and higher and higher on the living wage compared to what other people are making out there and are able, and what businesses can afford to pay employees, and particularly the not-for-profits. And I just think that we have to do our best for employees, but to have an outside entity saying, well, this is the living wage for Tompkins County, and that everybody ought to have this level of being able to support an apartment for one person and have cell phones and recreation and all the kinds of things that are calculated into the living wage. is not what has traditionally been the way people have moved their way up through the system over many, many, many years. So I would just add a layer of caution to that. Deborah.
Yeah, I have a question. If you're in the New York State system, are you not also in the Social Security system?
Yeah, you're both.
You're in both?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, and I think we need to bear that in mind, that there is also Social Security that needs to get it added onto that pension payment. I know because I worked with the federal government for so long. They switched people from CSRS, which was an extremely high-paying defined benefit plan, to FERS. And then when you were in FERS, you were then qualified to also get Social Security, whereas if you were in CSRS, you weren't. FERS is a defined contribution plan, so the payout's less, but Social Security makes up for it. So when we start talking about how valuable our pension program is, we have to also factor the Social Security piece in, just a word of caution. And to your second point, Mike, I think that maybe something this committee should be focused on next year is coming up with our own calculation for what a living wage actually is in this county. Because there have been expressions of concern over the last couple of years about what process the credit union is using, what they're looking at, and how it's not always that obvious or transparent to the rest of us.
Lee, then Veronica.
Yeah, let me be my broken record self here. And to that point, is it
At least you still remember records.
What's that?
At least you still remember records.
Just a sign that we're all
I'm
old.
aging myself again. I keep dwelling on the fact that what a living wage is in the Ithaca area, or say even the school district, versus out in our area, the county, Mike, are really two different things. And it's always been problematic for me to try to apply to those that we'd like to pay a higher wage out in our districts, the numbers that are calculated in Ithaca. I mean, a rent for an apartment here versus out in our area, utility costs, whatever the case may be, two wholly different things. And it's a struggle for our nonprofits out in that area to try to adhere to a calculation that's based on significantly different costs. So maybe that's an incomplete in that we were going to look at that living wage methodology ourselves, and hopefully we return to it. So thank you.
Veronica?
I'm not particularly interested in having this committee come up with a new living wage methodology, because I don't see how we're going to do better than researchers with access to more data. I guess we could. The MIT's living wage calculator says that for Cortland County, a living wage for one adult, 0 children is $22.12 an hour, for whatever that's worth, which is lower than for Tompkins County. It's not that low. I guess I want to defend the concept of the living wage. I hear assertion that not everybody needs their own apartment and their own cell phone and to have recreation, except, first of all, I think everyone deserves to have some recreation. Like, everyone deserves a baseline level of dignity, stable housing, communication access, whether it's through a phone or a computer or whatever. But I mean, good luck not having internet and getting by. It's not every individual needs all the same things, but I think, you know, when I've looked at the methodology, I think it is reasonable. It's looking at like median costs, basic assumptions, nothing like no extra emergency caregiving or emergency costs. Also no like, I don't know, vacations that cost any money. It's really not too much to ask. And I think that even if the number that's required to live with stability and dignity goes up, that's just a reflection of the costs of living. And I think it is like, if you want a stable workforce, you're going to have to pay them enough to keep up with the cost of living. Would it also work to like reduce the costs of living or keep them down? Yes. I don't know how to do that as easily, but that also would change the living wage calculation. But I guess I'd urge folks to like carefully read the methodology of both, both that MIT uses. They do a calculation of living wage across the country, and that it's no longer the credit union that calculates it here in Ithaca, but that the ILR CoLab folks use here, or for Tompkins County, excuse me, because I suspect that people are balking at the methodology, not because of any specifics in the methodology, but because the number looks high and that causes concern. And you're like, surely it can't be this. And that's a bit frustrating. But, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I'm sure the next committee will have more discussions about this. We did put on here to hire a commissioner of whole health and a commissioner of the Department of Social Services, and I think we can say that was done successfully thanks to our county administration and our county Department of Human Resources. Successful searches were conducted and successful hires, and I think we got a couple of very good people appointed to those positions. Remain open-minded and nimble in unexpected situations. Well, I think we've done that. We constantly do that. I remember when we started using the word nimble, and that had to do with the solid waste when we were creating the solid waste department, and we were dealing with whether we needed to have a flow control law or where trash had to come, making it come to our center or not. And we found that we had to withdraw that law in order to keep some of the people coming. And I remember Eric Lerner, who was a legislator back then, I think was the one who started using the term, we have to be nimble, be able to change our mind about things. So a little bit of history there.
Weren't we supposed to be crisp as well?
Yeah, that was.
No, that's another committee.
Oh, that was.
That went by the wayside.
That was the chair when he started a number of years ago, back in 2019 or something. He said we needed to be crisp. I think we do better at the legislature meetings, believe it or not, but they used to be worse. We had some legislators who really like to talk. Focus on services for vulnerable populations such as homeless individuals and those seeking mental health services. Well, I think a lot of the time we've spent at the county has been devoted to that this year. We've had excellent work out of county administration. Thank you, Corsa, for all the leadership you've given us there on the shelters. We certainly want to make sure that that work continues into the future. We've got a Code Blue shelter open. We need to thank our facilities department for all the work they did in making it happen, and others that I'm probably not even aware of. Certainly social services and helping to find someone to operate it for us. And you know more than of all the people involved, and I'll forget some, but it's been a big effort, and I think we should be proud of that this year. Even though we had a demonstration at our last couple of meetings ago saying we weren't doing enough, I think we've done quite a bit. I wish we could do more. We all wish we could do more for everybody, but we have to do what we can ask our constituents to pay for. Evaluate the county's stance on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and showcase the programming available to the community. And I think that has happened, probably not enough. We have just determined at our last meeting to add the Chief Equity and Diversity position into our charter. And we have had the GARE conference here, and other things, other programs throughout the year that have elevated the community's understanding of what DEI is, even in the face of a national government that is trying to erase DEI. Even to change even wanting, was it the Department of State not to use a certain typeface on their memos. They want to go back to New Times Roman instead of Calibri. That was yesterday.
How much government time did that take?
I have no idea. Keep track of finances and funding for capital projects and monitor potential long-term implications with the capital program. Well, I think we've talked a lot about the capital program. Certainly we did during the EBC meetings. Randy's been leading a special committee on the downtown facilities, and certainly the facilities, Lee has been leading F&I about a number of those things. I would like, one of my parting thoughts is to recommend that there be a special committee again on capital projects, which we did a number of years ago. At the time, right after that, we actually did the renovation of these chambers. But it was so informative, and that group was the one that made the recommendation that we still carry forward about adding to the levy each year for the capital costs, which helps us stay pretty stable in our capital budget. And we aren't approaching our debt limit. We can take on some more debt. Nobody likes to do it, but it is, as Dan Nolan has expressed, something that is paid for as it goes along by the users over the next however many years, whatever the capital life is of the programs. But that was, what an educational committee that used to be when we had it for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And I would just suggest that to whoever the leadership is next year, and folks may want to be a part of that. Anything else?
Nope.
Well, I would give us at least a B+ on our goals this year. How's that?
Works good.
I give it a B.
Pass, fail. You're a little ray of sunshine, Randy.
3.0.
More room for improvement.
Thank you for that, folks. Thanks for the time and your thoughts on it. I think it's kind of important to talk about it at the beginning of the year and remember what we did at the end of the year. Corsa, would you like to talk to us?
Yes. I think the first item.
Corsa, please use your microphone.
I forgot where I am. The first item will be the member filed resolution that if you'd like to introduce that.
Oh, the one we just added?
Yes.
Okay. We added authorizing contingent funding for the community shelter capital project for shelter development services. Someone want to move that one?
I'll move it.
Veronica, seconded by Shauna. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when we created the shelter development capital project and acquire the facility at Cherry Street, we, apart from the funding to buy the property, we didn't fund it any further for any of the development project. We only funded it for the first part of Monica's contract. We are now going in through the second year of Monica's contract, Development, our shelter development partner. So we need to fund that capital project and pay for her services and also pay the first part of the HHAP development application. And majority of this funding, potentially if we are successful with the grant, will be reimbursed back into the county coffers. So I'd like us to be able to continue to pay Monica's work so that we can get the HHAP application pack ready by April next year.
Questions? Deborah?
I'm confused because the amount of the Second Amendment shall not exceed $173,796. Oh, so the extra 56,000 is because we've already overspent?
Overspent it, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Randy?
As we look at all the contingency expenses that we had related to homelessness this year, it's over $1 million.
Yes.
When you add them all up. So as you plan for next year, please keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. So at the moment, we have about 500,000 and a bit in the contingent account right now. So we'll be able to accommodate this. And because this is a capital project, the funding, if we don't spend all this money for the week or two that we have left this year, this will not go away. It will stay in the capital project, so it will carry over on that project. So we are not expecting to fund this project with contingent account. But yes, I really appreciate that. We really exceeded the $1.3 million we have in the contingent account for 2026. But we have set ourselves a goal to continue to monitor and shepherd our processes through very effectively to make sure we don't exceed it unexpectedly. But we'll keep the committee informed as we move forward and see any new thing that comes out that we have to deal with.
Thank you.
Shauna?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if we were planning to do the shelter throughout the year or if we're just doing it through Code Blue. If we're going to do it year-round or just through Code Blue?
You mean what we have right now? Yeah, it is for the season.
Okay.
Currently, it's for the season, which ends, I believe, in April. And our goal is to expand a bit of our footprint when it comes to the THA facility we have at the roadway. So there are ongoing conversations to see what we need to do. The funding for the Code Blue is the low barrier funding that we have. At the end of the season, we won't have access to that funding anymore. So if there's a desire to continue what we're doing at Cherry Street, it will be 100% local dollars, which we did not budget for 2026.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we ready to vote? Mm-hmm. Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Other things you'd like to talk to us about?
So after several weeks and months of back and forth, we finally got the keys to 31 Dutch Mill yesterday. So we own the property we referred from this morning. Yay, we got it done. We met with facilities, security, and IT yesterday as well. And we are going to start the process of doing the work that needs to be done to make the space ready for staff to start moving into that space. Our goal is to get everything ready in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So hopefully by February, we'll be able to move department to start using 31 Dutch Mill. And we can start doing very minimum work at the Human Services Annex to move Board of Election also into that space as well. So we are able to close that space, and I'm very happy that we got that done. And that's my report.
Randy?
Yeah, and when it's convenient, maybe early next year, you can arrange a tour of Dutch Mill. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, yes.
And so is Veterans Services staying in their current building?
Yes. Yes, for now, because we renewed the lease for the storage equipment we have at Hanshaw Road for 1 more year. So we will plan where we can relocate veterans if possible, and then we can relocate those equipment back. But remember, the committee did not decide that we want that building to be the permanent home for Board of Elections. So if that is the direction we want to go, we have to do a bit more renovation at the back, and then we can move the equipment in and give up the Hanshaw Road property.
Okay, thank you.
But that will be some of the key discussion points that will come forward earlier in the year, and then we can plan properly for 26 and 27.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Corsa. Darrell Tuttle, our Director of Finance.
Good morning. First, I'll start off reporting on the occupancy tax collection. So just to clarify, the third quarter for occupancy tax is June 1st through August 31st, and we give about 20 days for them to mail in or drop off the remittance. So based on the third quarter, initially 13 establishments did not remit returns. We sent out reminder letters. Out of that, 5 are still outstanding. We will be sending a second one shortly. And in addition to the 5, 1 has been sent to the County Attorney's Department to assist with the collection. Now, fourth quarter will be starting, it ended November 30th, but we give till December 20th to receive the remittance. Any questions?
Shauna?
I would actually love, if possible, to have a list of those.
Deadbeats?
I wasn't going to say that, but of the providers that are not paying those taxes. I know that we've received them in the past, and it's just good to know if they're in our district, if they're not. And I think, I don't know if at one point we were, I guess since I've been on the legislature, we have not posted those. But I'm wondering, I guess, at what point, are they public knowledge if this information's foiled?
Well,
Maury?
They would be records of payments or fiscal records that I think would be subject to FOIL. To the extent a legal action is filed to collect on room tax, those documents are all public. If we want to take other kinds of actions, we did. I've mentioned this a few times. We've added language into the room tax law that that does not require us to maintain confidentiality of non-payment. So if we wanted to publish that, similar to I've seen kinds of initiatives in like New York City with parking ticket deadbeats and child support deadbeats and so forth. We could explore that.
Is that the legal term, deadbeats?
No.
I noticed the attorneys in the room that are saying.
No, I think it's debtors.
It should be.
Debtors, defendants. Yeah. So Yeah, there's more we can do than we have done, and I'm happy to pursue that whenever. And, I'm general about our litigation efforts because, I want those to progress a little further before we talk about them publicly.
Thank you.
Deborah?
So it's alarming to me how cavalier our establishments are about paying this tax. I've just been shocked since I've been on the legislature that hotels just don't feel like they have to comply with the law. They collect this money. In my opinion, the money that they collect for taxes is our trust funds that they hold for the benefit of the county or whatever the taxing jurisdiction is. Now, I know when I worked for the Justice Department Tax Division years ago, they had what they call a 100% penalty or responsible officer penalty for employment tax funds that were withheld on the trust fund theory. And if the establishment or the employer didn't pay, then we determined who the responsible and controlling person was for that entity, and we assessed a penalty against them personally and directly. I don't know if that's something that we could look into, if it would be a matter of state law rather than county law. But, I mean, this level of noncompliance is unacceptable, in my opinion.
Yeah. Our approach so far, and we haven't brought all that many enforcement litigations, but our approach in litigation would be, particularly if it appears that the violator is perhaps a thinly capitalized corporation or LLC, we would pursue the principal shareholders as well. It is in the nature of a trust fund tax because the taxpayer is actually the guest at the hotel as opposed to the hotel itself. And so the hotel collects that tax for the benefit of the occupant, who is the actual person that owes the tax to the county. So it's, particularly if an operator is including a line for room tax on a bill and collecting the room tax from somebody staying at the location and then doesn't remit that to the county, whether it's a trust fund in the sense of federal trust fund taxes like payroll taxes and the like, it should be treated the same way, and we intend to treat it the same way. That may mean, if and when we get a judgment, if the entity isn't able to satisfy it, we may have to go through traditional veil piercing analysis, but we'll do that.
Okay. Do we ever attach liens to property for these taxes?
We can do warrants, and we filed warrants.
Okay, great.
For better or worse, the warrants have not necessarily been as effective have not been as effective as they could be. Among other things, when we file a warrant, then we have to execute. So that means getting the sheriff's office involved or subpoena, garnishing bank accounts and the like. We could do that. Just thinking out loud, I shouldn't think out loud in public, but thinking out loud, we should do those things. Those are all arrows in our quiver that we can pursue, and we should think creatively about what things we can do and pursue them, also be diligent in identifying and pursuing those who don't register to collect room tax.
Time to get tough.
Randy?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the list of people who aren't complying as well, and maybe what their delinquency is, how many quarters are they behind, and those kind of things would be helpful. But I have a question. So the county leases or rents hotel rooms. Is there a room tax on that?
The county is tax exempt from paying room tax, so when when the county reserves or rents a hotel room, we provide a tax-exempt certificate, and we're not charged for it.
Okay, just curious, thanks.
Okay, Darrell, you want to go ahead?
So in addition to that, I did bring forth a discussion item on our agenda. It's a discussion item number 13758, Tompkins County Public Library Agreed Upon Procedures. This document was distributed through email. What this is it was the wish of the Ledge to engage with a independent auditor to initially, I believe the wish was for an audit, but what it ended up being was an agreed upon procedures. And just to clarify, the difference is many little things, but the main difference is the scope and whether or not they can give an opinion. When it comes to an audit, they do a more thorough examination of the financial statements, and the independent auditor is allowed to give an opinion on them. When it comes to an agreed upon procedures, the scope is much more narrow, and they are just stating the facts. They cannot give an opinion on it. Overall summary is, as they researched, reviewed, and interviewed the staff at the library, they found that the first concern that drove this agreed upon procedure was the difficulty in reporting to the New York State Board, or New York State. What they found is that when it comes to the financial statements, they have to be done based on accrual, and New York State wishes the reports done on cash basis. And for people who do not understand the difference, the main difference is accrual is you report it based on pretty much when it's incurred or earned. For example, rent in December would be in the year that December is, no matter when we pay it. Or, same with revenue, it's collected based on what it's for, the time period it's for, never mind the time that we receive the cash. Now, cash basis, it's recorded on when the cash leaves or when the cash comes in. So that was one confusion. The second part that they found is that there was huge turnover at the library recently, which brought with it loss of institutional knowledge, and the training wasn't to the level that was needed to clarify the confusion when it comes to transferring it from accrual to cash basis for New York State needs. The other reason for the audit was, or the agreed upon procedures, was due to the difficulty of submitting to the Finger Lakes library system. That seemed to have resolved itself during the engagement. Any questions?
Randy?
Yeah, this review or procedural exercise, was that done by Insero?
Correct.
And did it cost us all the money that we allocated for this?
Actually, I have not received the final bill yet, but I am told that based on the fact that some of the scenarios and concerns were resolved before they started their engagement, it should be reduced.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we appreciate the fact that this was done. I think it lets us know some of the problems that were encountered, but it also, I think, gives us some level of relief to know that the library is moving forward the way it ought to be. Shauna?
I think what's good too is it also sets the new director up for success, and it starts them at ground zero so that they can build up and they know what they're accountable for, they know what problems exist, and I think that's really important for the new director at a starting point, so thank you.
Okay. Darrell, what else?
That is all I have to report for today, but I am open for questions.
Are there other questions for Darrell? Randy?
I've got a question. I think that you've been in touch with Cornell Crop Extension, and we had loaned them money 2019, 220 for a roof that had failed. I guess it caved in and all that stuff. So, and the county loaned them money. I don't know if it was a bond or how we did it, but and now they're in a similar situation. So I know they've contacted you about borrowing money. So, and this is for the last part of the roof. They have 3 different buildings that are connected. And so they did a building assessment review, had a company come in and review the entire building to see what type of issues there were. That was at my request, because I didn't want to see that happen again because there were leaks in one of the roofs. So so they've done that. And part of that, they actually, from that, they actually got funding through Senator Leah Webb's office to do both the security system and an entrance. So they got money for that. They originally were looking at borrowing $250,000 for all these projects. But thank you to Leah Webb for stepping up for them. And they also gave them money for another part of that project was going to be the 4-H acres. So they also got money, Leah Webb also provided money for the updates there. So that money is not being asked for anymore. So now they're looking at not $250,000, but less than $100,000 to borrow to finish this roof. So I know that there's procedural issues there. It's happened before. I don't know if that's something that we can do. We did it once. I don't know if it was why we did it. Or how it was approved, but how is that process handled? Maybe it's a question for Maury if we even legally do it, and that's my question.
Well, I would like to add something before Maury answers, if necessary. The first time that it happened, it was done as a bond, and it was kind of a pass-through scenario where we, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maury, there was kind of a sublease arrangement where they paid us back through that. In this scenario, the amount is much less. My concern, and plus there was the possibility of other funding, and whether or not that could be paid back during the time, if there was prepayment, which if we were to bond, there would be the option for that. And because of the amount, I thought it might make more sense to see if there is the opportunity, and I did reach out to the county attorney's office to make sure whether or not we could just loan them the money rather than bond and pass it through, and whether that would be legal. And once I hear back, I was going to bring a resolution or something in front of you guys to determine and discuss.
Deborah.
I have some questions about this. Did they pay back the money from the last time?
Yes, they're current
Okay.
with all that.
They are up to date.
Yet, but
And who owns the building?
they do. And the total debt is actually what they owe us, which is like $150,000. Something like that is remain on the original bond. I can't remember exactly what it is.
That sounds right, but I would have to go to verify.
And the building that's the total debt they have, actually.
So they pay in installments? Is that?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
And I think it's assessed at $2.2 million, so it's quite a property there. So their debt's pretty low.
That's good.
And the issue comes down, I'm on their finance committee as well, so
I would imagine.
yeah. So I reviewed all that. And it's about a cash flow issue for them.
Yeah.
And they're actually trying to establish reserves and all those kinds of things, which are smart. They just have a reserve policy they just enforced. So I think good things are happening there for that.
Shauna?
I was on the board actually whenever all that went down, Randy, and there was a situation where they had solar panels on, and I'm sure you've probably heard the story. They had solar panels on the roof, and it was not certified or engineered correctly, and so they didn't have the right rubber ceiling. It was a flat roof. Employees had, whenever it rained, would have buckets of water that were coming down into their offices. So I'm glad to hear that they're doing some preventative maintenance. They're establishing funds. And I'm really happy to hear also that Senator Leah Webb, I mean, she's done a lot for us.
Yes.
And it's just been very impressive to see all the money that she's brought to Tompkins. And I'm glad to hear that CCE was really a part of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, saved them $180,000.
That's great. That's awesome to hear that our state money's trickling down to our county.
Absolutely.
If you see her, we still need a patrol boat, though.
I've asked for that. That's on our wish list. It is Christmas time, holiday time.
Anything else for Daryl? Daryl, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Let's go to our Commissioner of Human Resources, Ruby Pulliam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few things in regards to the goals that you were mentioning, the benefits, that's a continuing goal for our office. We were able to establish the voluntary benefits as well as a lower cost health insurance plan. Our plan next year is to continue our discussions with the consortium to see how we can mitigate the cost and the increases that we are incurring. As far as recruitment and retention, we will continue with our focus on internal and external engagements, our training and development. And we've really been successful with the Civil Service Helps program. Over 120 positions have been approved through that program, and it's scheduled to end in July of 2026. And we will continue to submit titles as the need arises. For this meeting, we have our year-end resolution in this packet. And the only other announcement I have is our open house for HR and county administration on December the 19th from 8:30 to 12:30 in our space in the 201 East Green Street. We're inviting everyone, all employees, to come by, see where we are, and staff will be on hand to answer any questions they may have about HR benefits or any of our programs. And with that being said, it's Larry's turn.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Let's run down through some of our monthly numbers. So for the month of November, we had 817 county staff. There was 139 election workers, 49 folks through that Job Training and Partnership Act. That's that youth employment program through Workforce. Recruitment, so we had 57 positions posted on our vacancy page. 21 of those were for the county and 36 were for our schools and municipalities. As far as outreach, there were 2 good-sized job fairs that I attended with some other folks. We're continuing mock interviews. Last month we did Newfield High School. Next week's actually Lansing for a couple of days. And then I did a presentation to the English as a Second Language class, which is a really great resource that I used to utilize while working at Challenge. Great group of folks there. So I was glad to make that connection back with them. Applications was, we did 494 applications, 254 for the municipalities and 240 for county positions. We onboarded 6 new staff, and we did 1 exit interview in November. New employees, so our insurance, that was a question that came up, I think, from Lee earlier with our offers. So we had 20 staff, new staff sign up for the Platinum, and the Silver plan that we offered, we had 42 staff sign up for that. The Medicare Advantage plan that we offered to retirees, we had 103 retirees sign up for that, which was really, really great. It's a great program for folks to really save some money. Disability leaves, we had 33. We had 22 cancer screenings, 15 bereavements, and 1 for jury duty. And for staff trainings, we held 2. That leadership development series that Samantha's doing covered difficult conversations in documenting employee actions. What was that training?
Randy.
Are you seeing applications increase, or is it sounds like their numbers of people applying for jobs is growing? Is that, or am I just not knowing the numbers?
They have this year. Overall, they definitely have. There's been just a little steady increase year by year. As of next week, I've been here for 5 years. Definitely from when I started during the pandemic to now, greatly. But yes, we're definitely seeing an increase in applications.
That's great.
I think it's due to the recruiter doing such a great job.
Of course. Probably so.
And while it's on that subject too, Larry's always inviting people to join him at the job fairs and the external engagement activities. It's open to any legislator who wants to come along. If it's in your area, show up.
We appreciate that. You know, you folks have been very, very busy. Are we pretty much caught up on our major job searches now? I know we still have historian you're working on, but I think with the commissioners and all of those, I think we're pretty much caught up, aren't we?
Chief Equity and Diversity Officer, we are working on that. We're in the midpoint of that. We're going to be reviewing applications and selecting for next steps.
Okay.
I think we just have to tell people they're not allowed to leave.
Well, I think I think our committee gets a gold star for the work that our administration and human resources have done filling all these positions. It's been a lot over this year.
You're back up to a B+, Mike.
I'm sorry?
You're back up to a B+.
Maybe it's an A- now.
I don't think that's up to you, because that's Randy's grading.
I'm not big in, oh, you guys are great. You guys are good. A+.
All right. Thank you, Ruby. Thank you, Larry. All right, we got some resolutions we need to go through. We've already done A. Let's do B. Acceptance of grant funding, New York State 250th Commemoration Commission on behalf of the New York State Education Department. That's ID 13733. Get a motion by Lee, seconded by Veronica. Corsa, do you want to say anything about this?
Yes, so we have been offered $15,000 to help us plan 2026 250th anniversary. So this resolution is to accept the grant and recognize it in our finances so that we'll be able to provide that support. Monica in my office, Director of Communication, is leading that, and we will early in the year come forward with the plans and programs and how we intend distributing that funding. We've already received one interest for establishing a monument, I believe, at DeWitt. Establishing a monument, so there's multiple other programs that we intend advertising and inviting people to participate in. So 15,000, we don't know the degree at which interest will be, and if interest exceed that number, we will be coming back to discuss if there's a desire to support the program. I do believe through the tourism funding, there are other funding opportunities there as well. So our goal is to collaborate with them and see how far we can support the celebration next year.
Shauna?
I actually received a few days ago a flag from NISAC for the 250th anniversary. And
cool.
so I am happy to donate this to the county.
Okay.
And you could use this for any celebration you might have.
Great.
Might go on our flagpole in the front.
Yeah, we can do that.
Allowed to do that?
I hadn't seen one of those before.
Yeah, it is an official flag, so it's not.
So we're allowed to fly it? It's,
Yes, and I'm not an official flag folder. I know this is not the way to.
it didn't come properly folded, so don't
No.
worry about it.
But, yeah.
Where's the Boy Scout when you need him, right?
Yeah.
For the bicentennial in 1976, they resurrected the flag showing the 76 in the corner. That was the most popular one. Okay, thank you for telling us about that, Shauna. Thank you. Are we ready to vote on this resolution? My only comment would be, nice to have this from the state, but it sure is a puny amount to the counties for celebration. And I think there was only a little over 1 million statewide, and every county, the minimum they got was 15,000, and we're on one of the ones getting the minimum. All those in favor? Those opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, resolution setting compensation and hours of work for the Tompkins County Clerk for the term of office January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2030, ID 13756. Someone want to move that one? Veronica, seconded by Deborah. Discussion about this one. This is something we have to do before each term, right? Randy?
So is this a 3% increase each year, or is this set the rate for the 4 years?
No, it's just year by year.
Oh, so every year we have to do this?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right. I wasn't on this, I remember it, okay.
We have never, except for one exception, ever changed the compensation after it was set, before the election. We did, a couple years ago, made a change that was controversial, but went forward for one of the elected officials. So.
Actually, look at the last result. For the succeeding years, it's the increase is commensurate with the other management group increases. So we set a base going into the new term, and then
Okay,
right.
increase corresponds to what we give the other managers.
thanks.
Ready to vote? I'm sorry, Shauna, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. I did reach out to NISEC and ask for the salary for other clerks in New York State. And so I do have a printout of what other clerks are being paid that I'm going to circulate to this, the full legislature, so that we can have a discussion. Wanted to make sure that we're in line with what some of the other counties are paying. So I'm certainly going to vote on this today, but if we're below, I'd love to have a conversation at the full legislature.
So you've asked for that. You don't have that.
I do have this spreadsheet.
Oh, well, are we, do you know, are we below, or where are we? Do you want us to all look at it, or?
Yes.
Let's do the work now.
Okay, let me see here. It came from Steve Aquario. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. You know what, can I send this to you, Taylor? And
That's a good idea. Why don't we come back to this resolution then?
okay, thank you.
And,
Sorry about that.
Let's move on, and maybe Taylor could get that and make us copies.
Okay.
Let's jump over to resolution resolution D, setting the compensation for the sheriff of town, if the term of office January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2030. That's ID 13757.
I'll move it.
Moved by Deborah. Is there a second by Lee? Remember, the term of office for sheriff and county clerk and judges was not affected by the law that changed to even year elections for county legislators. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I just say, there's something really wrong with our compensation structure when we've got 1 to 4 corrections officers earning more than the sheriff. Just doesn't seem right to me. And I know that's a function of overtime and staffing levels and everything else, but I was just taken aback by that report that I shared with you all that showed that our 4 most highly compensated staff are corrections officers.
That's not unusual, and deputies are sometimes, with their overtime, are paid more. The highest pensions in the state are police and fire on Long Island.
Yep.
And they get paid more than the governor gets.
Wow. Okay.
Shauna, you
Good
didn't
point.
do one on the sheriff, did you?
I'm sorry?
You didn't do a comparison on the sheriff?
No, we actually increased his salary a few years ago. Remember, I think we
Yeah,
ended
that's
up
the one I was talking
redlining
about. A
it.
couple years ago, we did that.
And then we increased the undersheriff as well to get up to par.
All right, on the sheriffs, you ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, now we've got Resolution E, approval of a reclassification of one deputy county agency, one deputy county attorney position from management grade 89 to management grade 91 pursuant to New York State Civil Service Law, Section 22, County Attorney's Office, 13762. Who wants to talk about that? Is it, do you talk about it, Maury, or does
Do we need to move and second?
talk about it?
I'm happy to address.
Sorry, can we move and second that first?
I think we should. You want to move it?
Yes.
Is there a second? Seconded by Deborah. Thank you, Veronica. So, go ahead.
I really appreciate the parliamentary skills that everyone on the ledge has developed, and some who have developed them are staying, so it's great. This is an item that's something of a repeat from the budget process. There were three reclassifications that were included in our budget presentation, and in the course of developing the budget, a request was made for us to withdraw those and pursue them instead through the HR department's reclassification process. So this is the first and most urgent of those that I am bringing forward. Ruby did the work to do the comparison of the positions. We redeveloped the deputy county attorney's job description to very accurately reflect the work that the holder of that position does, and submitted that to HR, and these are the results. And it's a recruitment and retention issue, so be very much appreciative if the legislature were to approve this resolution.
Questions? Ready to vote? Those in favor? Any opposed? All right, let's go back to Resolution C, now that we've had this handed out to us. Shauna, do you want to say anything more about it?
Sure, I did ask Rachel and Maureen how many number of full-time employees, and she responded 20 next year, as we're adding a records office position. So in one of the columns that we see for the county clerks on the printout here, it does have the number of full-time employees in the department, so that we can kind of compare what we're looking at.
Well, scanning these, to me, it seems like we're about where we ought to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
so.
agree.
Yeah.
You okay? You had a chance to look at it? Ready to vote on this one?
Yep.
Those in favor? Any opposed? That's a unanimous. All right, let's see where we are. Now we're over to F. Replacement resolution concerning tax stabilization reserve, 13709. Someone want to move that one? Deborah, seconded by Lee. All right, who's going to explain this one to us?
All right, this is a do-over of something that the legislature had done earlier this year. Basically, with our tax stabilization reserve was one of the reserves that was established at the beginning of 2024. It was not established correctly because this particular kind of reserve, the adopting resolution, requires that it be submitted for publication, and the possibility of referendum on petition, and it wasn't published then. So based on OSC opinions as to what needs to be done to correct these, we took the corrective action. Unfortunately, we need to do the corrective action over again. The reason we need to do the corrective action over again relates to the publication deadline of our official newspaper. So we did the do-over, but couldn't get it published in time. So basically, all this does is repeat what we did with Resolution 2025-152, and this time we will make absolutely sure that it is filed on time. It turns out that this is a very it's a very timely time to correct the tax stabilization reserve, because the purpose, one of the principal purposes of a tax stabilization reserve is to cover unexpected expenses as defined strictly in the statute, or unanticipated revenue shortfalls, which are also defined in the statute. And we may have those coming forward, particularly for DSS, and the original money that went into
DSS,
this tax stabilization reserve was like an audit refund that DSS received, and there's anticipation that in the future, audits will go in the opposite direction, and it will have to true up its expenses, plus who knows what additional things due to regulatory changes DSS may need to expend next year. So we're getting this done at the right time. One thing to remember when tax stabilization reserve comes up, there are strict definitions as to what it can be spent for, and it also requires a supermajority vote of the legislature to spend out of this reserve.
But we haven't spent any of this since we set this up.
No, it is under the parking lot, paved over, because we can't touch it
Kind of like
until it's
Richard
corrected.
III. Kind of like Richard III.
Yes.
That sounds like a dead body.
They found him under a parking lot.
Okay.
Just very recently.
Or maybe Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, any further questions on this one? Ready to vote? Those in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Resolution G, budget adjustment, County Office for the Aging, Unmet Needs, and Department of Social Services. Unmet Needs and Department of Social Services. That's 13718. Someone want to move that one? Okay, Shauna, seconded by Deborah. Looks like this is for some additional funding that's come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's budget neutral.
Yep.
Any question? Corsa? Randy?
I believe this came through Health and Human Services too, didn't it? And we talked about that. And it's just a moving of funding from one spot to another because they're going to be doing the programming. So,
Well, it looks like it was new funding too. So.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. And then a similar one, budget adjustment, Department of Social Services, Tompkins County Office for the Aging, COFA, and FoodNet, 13719. Someone want to move? Randy, seconded by Veronica. Any further discussion on this one?
Was this the same $50,000?
yes. I believe it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rearranging this,
It is.
aren't they?
It is.
Good.
Okay. Those in favor? Any opposed? And the last one is I, resolution changes of positions, various departments, 13761. Who wants to move that? Shauna, seconded by Veronica. Anything people want to point out to us about this one?
All as a result of the budget. Procedural.
That's the simplest explanation, yes.
Norma has her hand up.
Well, it looks like we create 3 new positions and abolished 5. That's interesting.
Mike, Norma's hand.
Hi, Norma.
Hi, I just wanted to remind the committee that we also passed a resolution earlier to remove all of the vacant and unfunded positions from the roster.
Right.
So what this does, while this creates those positions that have been authorized within the budget, any new positions that may come during 2026 will need to come to this committee for approval because there will be no vacant positions to go to. So just so you know, so you will see, you may see other resolutions similar to this add positions throughout the year.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep. It's just a different process. I wanted to it's better to state it a couple of times so everybody kind of gets it in their head, what's happening.
Questions? Ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous. Reports from committee members. Anyone like to talk to us as a member of the committee or otherwise? Nope. You all want to go home?
Yes.
Anything else from anyone for the good of the cause? I do want to mention that on the screen we've had Samantha Gralick and Victoria Kendall from administration, and Drew Brayman was there from from county finance. Just we always appreciate staff attendance. Well, I guess until next year, best wishes to everybody, and we're adjourned. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Rob, Henry.